all right, so they talked about with this $300 million deal. So they had some study, and I don't know the exact numbers, but that, some group somewhere did some study or whatever, and they were tracking happiness levels at different income levels. And they said that, to the best of their research, with which, and again, I don't know how they came up with the research or whatever, but to the best of their research, they track people's general happiness level, quality of life, and that's how. But the main thing they were tracking was happiness level. Mm-hmm. That at different income stratas, what was their happiness level? And they said they noticed a noticeable difference of happiness level when people crossed the $65,000, $70,000 annual income mm-hmm. mark. That there was a noticeable uptick in happiness levels, like they're starting to cover the bills a little bit better and things like that. And then they said the next noticeable uptick in happiness level was around the 95,000 mark, and but they said that the happiness level at 95,000, there's not much more happiness. Even the guys that were making $1 million, they said, we're the $1 million annual income guys happier than the 95,000 income people. They said yes, but it's not like what you would expect. They said it was more of like a tapered, like flattening out effect. That at 65,000, it's like you're covering your bills. You can make it. You're making, like, you don't have to worry about like whether or not we're gonna make rent, mm-hmm. Or whether we're gonna get evicted, because you've got that 65,000. At 95,000, the people, there's another uptick in happiness, because now it's like they can get the coffees, and it's like a little bit more.
Sure.
As long as they're not, totally loaded down with debt and just poor life choices. But they noticed in the research that at 95,000 there was a noticeable uptick in happiness. But to me, the thing that was most interesting was that there was not much of a difference, or not much of an uptick after the 95,000 a year in income. At 95 or 150 or 200 or 250 or $1 million was not significant. The people were not significantly happier than they were at the 95,000 mark.
Not to dive into the weeds of the statistics, but was that $70,000 for a single person or somebody that's married?
I don't know. Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, I think that the core of the study, the basis of the study, rings true. Whether that number is 65 or 75 or 85, or whether it's one mm-hmm. kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, I think the core, like, not so much the number, but that you go from struggling to still a super tight budget, mm-hmm. but at least you're not struggling. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not, like, if your car breaks, that you're gonna be like the spiraling debt going down. Like, so I think that's one level. And then that $95,000 level, again, if it's 85, 95, 105, 120, whatever, that level is like, you're making it, you're saving money, like you have all this expendable income, mm-hmm. and like I could see how your happiness level would uptick.
Yeah.
But what stood out, I guess, most to me was that they said there's not a noticeable difference between those 9,500,000 a year people and the 300s or 500 or $1 million. Like, that there's not a noticeable uptick in happiness. They may have more stuff, or
sure.
better clothes, or nicer car, or more toys, or taking more lavish trips or whatever, but when it came down to the happiness level, they were not noticeably that much more happy than they were at 95.
Well, you got to think that if you're making that kind of money, you probably have more responsibility, right? Like, if you're making $250,000 a year, you're probably either running a business or you're a high-level executive somewhere, which probably added stress. So I mean, if you're making $70,000 a year, I mean, it's probably not super stress. I mean, it may be stressful at the time, but
it depends.
It depends. I mean, I think more money is like the amount of influence and probably demands in your life are increased, not just So I think that's a factor. It is interesting. I mean, both you and I waited tables, and I think I was making $500 a week. I remember I was pretty happy. I don't remember, like, I mean, now I had three roommates living, so I mean, it was a different lifestyle. But I don't remember being, I don't remember being stressed about money. Now I think when I got married and I took on more of the financial responsibility, there was probably more stress there. Yeah, it's an interesting statistic. I mean, I don't know if I was making $70,000 a year, I'd be, how happy I would be. But I love, more is always better. I mean, you're right, you can always do more. But I think back to, where do you go for happiness? I mean, I think, for us as believers, I feel like there's a difference between happiness and joy. And so am I able to experience joy regardless if I'm making $50,000, $100,000, $200,000? That's the question I ask. Because, I mean, I've made good money and I've been miserable. And I've made little money, I've been happy. So I don't know. Yeah. I think it's a combination of things.
I think it's easy to, in America, or I mean, I guess maybe this is just speaking more about how I'm wired, but confusing more money with more happy.
Sure.
The truth of the matter is more money.
No problem.